Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back with another video here today, and today we are continuing grading all the teams' divisions based on their position groups in each broken down by each division, obviously. Today we are doing the NFL AFC South. I'm really excited about doing this one because I think there is a lot of controversy with every team that isn't the Texans, basically, when it comes to how good is a team when you really break it down. So I'm very, very curious here today on how to do it. I looked over all my notes, but actually, I thought I already recorded this. Completely passed my mind that I just didn't. So I already did like NFC South. And I was like, oh, great. So my notes were fresh there. My notes aren't as fresh here. So I may stumble a little bit, but you know what? We're going to roll with it. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment any suggestions for future videos below. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. One thing that's consistent with all these videos, well, we grade them. So, how are they graded? Well, if you get an A, that means you're best in the league in that position group. You got B+, means you're pretty damn excellent. Not really going to complain about your position group too much. Pretty good at B-, you know, you don't really need to look at it at all. You're in a good hands. C, I mean, it'll do for the season. As long as you don't have too many C's, you should be fine. D+, there could be potential. You could have some ups, you could have some downs. You're not totally out of it yet. D-, you're not the worst, but man, you need to work on it. And then F, you are one of the worst in the league with your position group. And I don't give out F's and A's very often, so it's usually B+ and D-. But moving on, of course, we're doing the AFC South. And like I said, I love this division because I think this has become the most interesting division in a while. And so the South in general, I think, have just had crap teams that have now built up to almost sneaky good teams. Falcons come to mind, the Bucks come to mind, the Texans, the Jags, the Colts arguably. I'll not argue the Titans even though everybody else will. I think this is a very interesting division where everybody could win against everybody else. So really curious about here today. First of all though, we do have the Tennessee Titans, the Houston Texans is what I meant to say there. And first of all, where did I put CJ Stroud? Let this be known, if you're a rookie and you had a good season or a bad season, typically you're gonna start at C your rookie season. Going into your rookie season, you're typically gonna be at C unless you're really hyped or really unhyped. Either way, you're not gonna move too much in your first couple of years because obviously you're still developing. There's not enough sample size to see how good you're actually gonna be. But when you have a season like CJ Stroud, you immediately move him from the C tier, which basically where he would have been last year, to B+. And not only that, I think this solidified it that Case Keenum, Davis Mills, and Tim Boyle are all backup quarterbacks for this for him. So that solidified B+ for me. That if I did have doubts of like, oh, should I give him B+ because it's second year? I mean, everybody's praising him. He had the results. He has the quarterbacks behind him to help solidify a good backup room. I gotta give CJ Stroud some credit, some flowers. He did amazing in his rookie season. Will that expand? I'm not too sure. It'll probably take more than one more season though to get him to A. A is really hard to get to. If he has another extraordinary season like this, absolutely goes to A. But like, how much more or how much less can we expect? So if he does about the same or a little bit less, does he stay in B+? Probably. You know, if he does significantly worse, you still probably say the B+. Maybe B-. I don't know. It's really hard. We'll have to determine after the season though. Your running back room, we got Joe Mixon. I debated them putting Joe Mixon B-, but Dameon Pierce being a really solid backup kind of made me think that it puts it over the edge of B+. So I thought of Joe Mixon as pretty much in the B+, B- like middle ground, but Dameon Pierce as a solid backup is a B+, you know, B+ running back room. Then you got the wide receiver core, and this is a debate. Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Well, I don't think it's the best wide receiver core in the league. It's damn good. Dalton Schultz, reliable enough, B-. You know, you show up to class, you get the job done. What more can you ask for? The O-line, honestly, is just really old and like really iffy. You know, I don't know. It's got plenty of legs to stand on. Laramie Tunsil's obviously really good. Kenyon Green's fine. Shaq Mason's fine. But like I don't know, everything else is just very underwhelming. D+ is kind of where I landed for O-line. Your D-line though, when you have Will Anderson Jr. and what's it called, Danielle Hunter, it really boosts up your score because everybody else is not that reliable on this team at the D-line position. So B- is where I fell, and even because Will Anderson also did have a very good rookie season, but at the same time he didn't have an extraordinarily great season, and so we still got to get more seasons out of him. So B- is where I landed. You could argue B+, but B- seems a little bit more conservative for that. Linebackers though, aside from Aziz Al-Shaair, and even then, that's kind of pushing it with helping out with the grade. Aziz is kind of the only reason I kept it at D- instead of an F. It's not a great linebacker room. They don't get really much results, so D- is where I landed for the linebacker room. Secondary, Honestly, take it or leave it. I like Jimmy Ward enough to see. Derek Stingley Jr.'s about B- to me, and everybody else is about D+, D-. So C is where I landed. I think they can get the job done. I'm not going to complain. Special teams, I mean, I just think they have performed very well with it. Tommy Townsend's a very good punter, and Fairbairn's fair enough. Damian Pierce is good at kick returning, so B- is where I landed. And then you got D'Amico Ryan. It's kind of the same case for C.J. Stroud. You know, a rookie coach is pretty much going to go B- or D+ after its first season, depending on how well you did or how well you didn't do. But man, when you have a great season like the Texans and you turned around this team that quickly, and you know, like I said, there's some names on here now, but this didn't have like the stacked names it did before, and a lot of these guys are now second-year guys. I mean, you got to give some credit to D'Amico Ryans. Did I debate a little bit more that he should be more in the B-? Yes, but man, if I'm giving C.J. Stroud a B+, I got to give D'Amico Ryans. Then we have the Indianapolis Colts. And this will be a very weird one as well. And I'm just making sure I pronounce the last name or get the last name of the coach, because I'm like, oh gosh, I need to make sure I pull that up. Quarterback, let's go ahead and just say Anthony Richardson's a C. I basically am giving him a mulligan year and basically saying, okay, you know, you got hurt the first year. It's fine. It happens. Try again, though. We need to get those C's. C's do get degrees, but it takes a little bit longer sometimes, all right? So, Anthony Richardson, you get another year with your C. We'll see where you land. I'm not too sure where I think you're going to land, to be honest with you. Jonathan Taylor, I am giving him a B+. A couple reasons. One, he doesn't have a good running back. He doesn't have backups. It's pretty much just him. Trey Sermons and Evan Hull are basically like, that's about it, and that's not very good. And while we have seen productive years from him recently, we have only seen one extraordinary year, and that was this is fourth year in the league. So I'm holding back. I think that he's an A player, but his grades tell me otherwise. So like one extraordinary grade in a test, but everything else is about B+, you know, B- category. I gotta give you the B+, and that's just me being conservative. I think you are very capable of getting an A, but moving on. And also, again, your group members don't help at all. The wide receiver room is very weird, and I debated on putting this in C because I think this is almost, honestly, D+ is also not the worst one either. But Michael Pittman's really good, a really solid wide receiver 1. Josh Downs, I think, is a suitable wide receiver 2. I debated him. Well, he really was the person who made me think, instead of a C, I'm going to put you in B-. And Donnie Mitchell, I think, has potential. Alec Pierce is good depth. So due to depth, Josh Downs being a decent second wide receiver, Michael Pittman being a good wide receiver 1, Donnie Mitchell, you know, having potential, I think it built me enough to get to B-. As for the tight end, though, Granson and Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods, yeah, F. Just whatever. I don't care about you. Your O-line, though, is fucking solid. Your run game, whoops, didn't mean to go D-line. Or linebackers, whoops, I just spoiled some grades. I mean, this O-line's fucking amazing. Run game, you can't even doubt. You can maybe knock them a little bit for their tackles. I'm not ready to do that yet because their tackles actually did pretty damn good last year. So I'm, you know, really optimistic. So results, again, versus name value being more valued here. So D-line, though, Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, and Tyquan Lewis. With one of DeForest Buckner is a solid A guy. Grover Stewart and Kwity Paye are like a solid B+ people, and Tyquan Lewis is like the one sore thumb, it looks like to me. So that's why I put it B+. Again, it's a little bit harder to get a better grade when you have a 4.3. Oh, sorry, it's a little bit harder when you are the 4 and the 4.3 or the 3.4, because obviously you just have more players that can drag you down. I still think it's very solid, and I think you could make an argument for an A. I'm not quite going to do that yet because I still have hesitations. If I have hesitation, it means I shouldn't get an A. A's and F's are pretty much like, you see it and you're like, okay, we're going to give this an A or an F. Linebackers, though, again, there's just no names here. The defense is really just a defensive lineman, and this is why I debated giving the D-line a because the linebackers absolutely suck, so obviously a D-line must be doing really good. I held back because, again, Zaire Franklin, I think, helps out a little bit, and speed has shown some potential. So we're just going to keep optimistic and move forward. Secondary also really bad. I was actually thinking this was a pretty good secondary, but everybody's just like a D+, D- to F guy. And like Juju Brents, the fuck is that? Nick Cross, I guess, fine. Jalen Jones, fine enough. And Blackmon, I mean, it's just a really underwhelming. So it's not enough for an F, but D-. Special teams, whatever. Matt Gay is fine, and Josh Downs is a decent returner. They've gotten results, D+. I don't know. Special teams are hard. And the coach, Shane Steichen. Yeah, I still won't say his name right. Shane Steichen. Man, he was tough. He was tough. He was basically 9-8 last season with a mulligan of a rookie quarterback, and he's basically had no. Well, actually, I guess he had one other head coach experience, but I don't know where I feel about him. I just kind of said C. If you don't know where I'm leaning, I'm gonna go usually C with him. Then we are moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and man, there's a lot to unpack here. This could go from A to F real quick for any of these position groups. One, quarterback. I know people are like, oh, Trevor Lawrence is actually a bust. He's not going to do well. Whatever. If you're saying him putting up almost 4,000 yards or 4,000 yards each season with 20 touchdowns, a decent amount of rushing yards and getting the job done and some playoff berth and playoff win is not is enough to not enough to put him in the B- category. I don't know what you're asking for. B- is fair enough. I am starting to hesitate whether he's actually capable of doing B+ to A. But B- at the very least, you can't deny him in that category. Jared Goff category with him, which Jared Goff arguably is better. But again, Trevor Lawrence is still younger. Now, granted, fourth year in the league, right? Is it? Yeah. So it's tough. It is tough. Running back, Travis Etienne and who's Tank Bigsby. Travis Etienne's basically B-, and Tank Bigsby just kind of solidifies a B-. I don't really know what else to really talk about there, so B-. Wide receiver room. I debated for the same reason I debated the Colts. However, I think the Colts have better depth. I'm not a big fan of really anybody outside of Brian Thomas Jr., so the wide receiver 1 through 3. But I think this is a quintessential wide receiver 1 through 3. Except, as much as I love Christian Kirk, he really isn't a wide receiver 1. Or if he is wide receiver 32 or 30, 31, 32. Because some team, I think he's not the worst wide receiver 1 on every team, but I think some teams have better wide receiver 2s. So is he the top 30 wide receiver? It's arguable. I wouldn't say likely. Brian Thomas Jr. has potential, but probably not that much. Gabe Davis is pretty much a solidified wide receiver 2. And again, the depth behind him is not too good. So C is where I landed. Debated on less, but again, there's potential in that team. So I'm not really going to comment on it. Evan Ingram, I debated on a B+, but I settled on a B-, kind of Dalton Schultz, Dalton Kincaid area. Getting the job done in every category, but not too much. O-line, I mean, some of this makes me think, oh man, this is really good. Brandon Sheriff and Ezra Cleveland are highlights of this team. Then Cam Robinson and Mitch Morse are fine. This O-line's get the job done. You could argue B-. I'm going to go land on a C. D-line, Josh Allen, Eric Armstead, Trayvon Walker. I think easily could make this a B+. Devon Hamilton holds us back a little bit, and as well as Trayvon Walker. And I know a lot of my bias is still there for him being the first round, round 1 pick 1 a few years ago. But I think B- is still fair because Eric Armstead is getting older. Josh Allen is the highlight of this team. I'm gonna go B- just because there's 2 players that are potential B+, B- that have a little bit of a holdback for me. 1 C to D+ player and 1 A kind of lands into to an A or B- category for me. So take that as you will. Linebackers, kind of the same case. Devin Lloyd is kind of a highlight of that, but everybody else is actually their floor is a little bit higher. Like Chad Mumma and Olokon, I think have higher ceilings. So B- is where I'm landing for the linebackers, but again for different reasons. I think the defensive line has a higher ceiling. Higher ceiling. The linebackers have a higher floor. Take that as you will. Secondary, again, man, this division actually may have a lot of good quarterback play because, man, the secondary is just really underwhelming. They either just don't get results or they don't have name value. And, I mean, Andre Sisco makes me, and Darnell Savage, I was about to say Savage, make me kind of excited for this one, but, more in the D+ to C category excited more than, A category. So D- is where I landed here. I don't think it's that bad, but it's getting there. Again, these are really hard, but Logan Cook's a good punter and Devin Nunez is a pretty good returner, but I don't like the kicker, so D+. Coach Peterson. Last year I would have put him at B-, and then he just kind of had this year. I'm like, man, these are really evened out years, huh? You gave me some potential, and you gave me a really crap year. It wasn't really crap year, just wasn't really good. And your good season wasn't even that good for me to keep you in B-. So, I don't know where I'm landing with you. I think 3 to 4 years is pretty damn good for a coaching contract because, again, you don't know what those first 2 seasons are going to get. Third gives you a better sample size, and fourth is your last ditch or your solidifying effort. So, Peterson, you get a C. Tennessee Titans. I'm going to try to move through this one pretty quickly because I don't care about them. Just kidding. Will Levis, I just genuinely do not believe you can put as a C. I just don't. I think that you could have put him as a D plus C area last year. He showed potential for like 2 games, and like he's fine. He's fine. And even then, I think most of the time he's not fine. D plus is where I'm landing. Mason Rudolph is a fine enough backup. Whatever. You can argue a C if you wish, but I really don't like Will Levis. I shouldn't say I don't like him. I just don't think he's going to be that good. I really don't. I don't know what people see in him. Your running back room, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, B-. I mean, reliable group. Not going to knock either one of these guys. Honestly, debate on B+ because I think Tajay Spears has potential, but again, we haven't really seen it at its full capacity. Wide receiver room, arguably 100%. Going to just go ahead and see this now. And if all 3 of these players were in their prime, easily an A wide receiver room. Calvin Ridley was fine last year. DeAndre Hopkins, pretty damn good last year. Tyler Boyd is just a fine wide receiver 3. If he's your wide receiver 3, heck, if he's your wide receiver 2, I'm not going to be complaining too much. However, I think that more times than not, Calvin Ridley or DeAndre Hopkins will be out. I just genuinely do. Calvin Ridley wasn't playing every game last season. I think he was. Well, I think he did play every game, or almost every game, but I think he didn't play a lot of those more than half. DeAndre Hopkins didn't play every game last year. I think he played 11. Tyler Boyd has had a history of injuries as well. I just think that it's going to be a rotating, rotating Treylon Burks as wide receiver 3, and either moving Tyler Boyd up or moving Hopkins up, whatever. And so I just don't think it's ever going to be full capacity, and neither do I. And even if you want to put injury aside, my logic here is these guys are past their prime. All 3 of these guys. Calvin Ridley's not in his prime anymore. Say it what you will. Hopkins not in his prime anymore. Far from his prime, actually. And Tyler Boyd, again, not in his prime anymore. So, while all these players are still, like, close to it and decently good, I just can't put them at A because, again, name value is really good here. I'm hesitant just because, again, age, injury, and, where they're at in their career. Tight end, C. I mean, Okinawa, or however the fuck you say his name, it's fine. O-line, it's not an F because of J.C. Latham. Otherwise, I don't know where my friends are getting that this O-line's actually not bad. Or if I don't know if they have said that recently, I'll be honest with you. I can't remember. J.C. Latham is a very good sight for sore eyes, which is why it's a D- and not an F. It's actually the sole reason. Maybe Cushionberry, maybe, because I like him, but beside the point. It's D-, whatever. D-line, again, what you got, fucking Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons versus the other 2 guys who, again, are not that great. When you look at their stats, when you look at their pressures, they're not great. So, you could argue a B-, but is Jeffrey Simmons that good? I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is pretty damn good. But is he that good to bring him up to, like, above average grade? Maybe. I don't know. Linebackers fucking suck. None of these guys have done anything. Harold Landry III. That's the only person I can get some semblance of. On the same, whatever. F, whatever. B- for the secondary. I'm actually really excited for the secondary. I think this could be a B+, if not an A. Secondary, but I'm holding out because L'Jarius Sneed is a clear A. Amani Hooker and Quandre Diggs are clear, like B- the area, and then their fourth of Owuzie, Chidobe Awuzie, I'm not sold on. I landed at B-, just because, again, C, B-, be honest, A. I'm gonna go B-. You could argue B+. I'm hesitant though. I'm hesitant. All right, because even then, Quandre Diggs and Amani Hooker, I don't think have had enough value to keep them solidified in B-, but it could be argued. Special teams fucking suck. Who's your fucking kicker? Nick Folk? Yeah, sure. Okay. And everybody else sucks on this. Oh, Tajay Spears is a decent kick returner, which I think is the reason why I kept this a D-. Don't remember because I don't have the script for it. But either way, your coach, and I forgot your fucking coach's name already because it doesn't really matter to me. But he's a first-year head coach. He did well in the Bengals, and it's Brian Callahan. He did well enough. I'm not going to hate on him because I know almost nothing about him. He seemed like he did well in the Bengals territory. Not going to argue with it. Hopefully it helps out this defense. That's about it. Get the C grade for me. Maybe it goes up, maybe it goes down. We'll see. Hope you all did enjoy the video, and I hope I'll see you on the next one. StraightA Dawson, out of here.